Greetings, salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Movie Talk. Movie Talk for movie fans. Now, this is a show where normally we give you all of the day's latest movie news with insight into what it all means, as well as a little bit of context for you. My name is John Campea. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie Talk, but this is not a regular AMC Movie Talk episode. For those of you who are regular viewers of the show, you know, I am not in the AMC Movie Talk studios. I'm not in any studio. I'm in a hotel room in San Diego, California, because I'm here at the annual Comic-Con convention in San Diego, having a very good time. You might be able to tell by looking at me, I'm extremely tired. It has been a long day. I already did the Masters of the Web panel. For those of you who may not know, every year I do a panel at Comic-Con called the Masters of the Web, where I gather together some of the biggest and best film pundits online to talk movies, and we get some celebrity moderators. This year we had the writer and the director for the upcoming horror film You're Next. They were great. The whole panel was awesome. I always have such a wonderful time hosting this thing, and we did that this morning. So I got up early, went to the convention center, which is about a 25-minute shuttle ride away, immediately got back on the shuttle after it, came back to my hotel so we could do this show, and then I'll go back downtown after we're done here. But this is very different, obviously, because we're not in the studio. You know what? On yesterday's show, I still try to treat it as a normal show where I wrote out the news stories, did all that kind of stuff. And you know what? It took me like 4 or 5 hours to do. So if you're new to AMC Movie Talk, today's episode is not a good representation of the show. I'm just going to be really casual today, like super casual. I haven't written out any of the stories. I've got a couple of topics I want to bring up and discuss. And you and I, as film fans, are just going to sit here and talk movies. We're just going to talk movies for about a half hour. And I hope you come along for the ride. For those of you who are regulars, I hope you can bear with me as I do this alone from my hotel room, once again, in San Diego, where I'm here with the rest of the AMC Movie News crew. Amy Rose Eisenbach, Clark Wolf, Chris Lee Kennedy, and Dennis Zen are all still at the convention center. They're actually doing press line interviews right now with some big movies that are coming out, talking to some of the cast there. But I wanted to come back here because I want to talk to you guys. So we're doing the show today. So let's get started, shall we, folks? Just think of today as just like a talk radio show. Just me and you. Just me and you. We're just talking movies for about a half hour or so. I want to start with this. Before we get to the movie news items that I've got listed down here, I've been bringing up the last couple of days, and trust me, there's a point as to why I'm doing this. The other day, yesterday specifically, we brought up the issue once again about Robin in Batman films. Okay, now just to give you the Coles notes, the basic premise is this: I don't believe you can put Robin in a real live action Batman film. I believe the idea of Batman carting along a child with him as villains are trying to kill him and kill them would make Batman, number one, a child abuse. That's child abuse. That's neglect. That's makes Batman a criminal. And number two, it makes him an ass. I'll probably have to mute that part out because I'm not supposed to swear on this show. But that's what Batman would be in a live action, real Batman film if he was carting along a child with him to do this stuff, or a minor, if you will. And I said, there's just no way. I said that Robin works great in the comic books. Robin works great in the cartoons. But comic books are comic books. Cartoons are cartoons. A live action film that we try to make feel more gritty and real? No. You can't have Batman carting along a minor. Just doesn't work. It just doesn't. And that's not a put down of the Robin character. I love the Robin character in the right medium. Cartoons, fine, awesome. Comic books, especially awesome. Live action, more gritty, real feeling Batman movie? No place for him. Now, I know a lot of you guys disagree, and that's the most fun part. I don't want you to agree with me all the time. This is the fun part about being a movie fan. And so we debate as movie fans, and that's great. Now, here's why I bring this up again. My whole notion, you can't have a 12-year-old child. You can't have a 16-year-old minor. You can't have these things because that's not what Batman would do. It wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't work. I've gotten literally hundreds of messages from you guys, whether it be in the YouTube comments section, which, by the way, please leave comments, or emailing me or whatever. And you can email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Bringing up this example. Well, John, you'll say to me, you love Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass has Hit Girl, and you love Hit Girl, and you've said 1,000 times, John, that Hit Girl works and is awesome. So there you go. Robin would work in Batman. And, okay, I had to address this because I've just gotten tired of having to repeat or answer all the stuff that's coming from this. You're right. Kick-Ass is awesome. It's all kinds of awesome. If you've watched this show for any period of time, you know how much I love Kick-Ass and how much I love that movie. And Hit Girl is one of the main reasons why I loved it so much. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Now, that being said, there is a difference between, a very key difference here between Hit Girl in Kick-Ass and Robin in Batman. Kick-Ass is a silly, satire, off-the-wall comedy. That's what Kick-Ass is. That's what makes it so awesome. It's a silly, satire, ridiculous comedy. And in the world of a ridiculous, silly, satire comedy, a retired or a disgraced cop who becomes a crime fighter training his little girl Mindy to kick ass and kill people, that works. That's part of what made it so awesome and so brilliant and so funny. Because, right, we accept this is just ridiculous world that we're in. We just accept that from the beginning of Kick-Ass. And so that's great, and it works, and it's wonderful. However, while Kick-Ass is a silly, satire, ridiculous comedy, Batman is not. Batman is not silly or satirical or ridiculous or a comedy. At least not the Batman that we've come to know and expect today. The Batman we have today is a Batman that we expect to have a more gritty, realistic tone. We want to imagine the world, the real world that we live in, where you get a character like this who otherwise wouldn't normally exist. Boom, in this world, Batman. But everything else about the world, gritty, darker, real. That's what we expect. Those are two different worlds. The silly, satirical, ridiculous comedy world of Kick-Ass is a very, 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 very different world from that of the gritty, more realistic feeling Batman world. You can drop 12-year-old Mindy in that ridiculous world as Hit Girl, trained by her father to kill all sorts of, grown henchmen and dodge bullets and all that kind of stuff. And we just accept it because it's a silly comedy. We would not accept it in Batman. And like Batman carting around a little 13-year-old boy. Go get those thugs. Oh, guess what? The thugs kill him. Now Batman is a child abuser. But by endangering a child, Batman becomes a child abuser. And like I said, it makes him an idiot. It makes Batman an idiot. And that's not what Batman is. In this gritty, more realistic, live-action world, the Batman that we have, and that's why Christopher Nolan never wanted to put a Robin in his movies. He didn't want any part of Robin. And I've said this, look, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was not Robin. Okay, I made a whole video explaining how Christopher Nolan explained, no, Joseph Gordon-Levitt wasn't Robin. He just put the name Robin in there to be a tip of the cap and a wink of the eye. That's it. So, but that's why Christopher Nolan wanted no part of Robin, because Christopher Nolan knows that Robin doesn't work in that world. So I understand where you guys are coming from, and I totally respect that you disagree, that you think Robin can work in a live-action world. Okay, that's great. I don't think he does, and we can engage and debate and have fun doing it. But I don't acknowledge or agree with the analogy that, well, since Hit Girl worked in Kick-Ass, then therefore Robin can work in a live-action Batman, because those are two very, very different types of worlds, and what can work in one world and what can't work in another. So I see those things as night and day. So you may have lots of reasons other than this Kick-Ass example. Lots of reasons why you believe Robin would work in a live-action movie, and those are great and those are valid, and we can discuss those. But the Kick-Ass one, I gotta reject the Kick-Ass comparison, because that's night and day comparison. It's like saying to me, well, John, Batman can have a baby. Forget 12 years. He can have a baby fighting crime with him, because in The Incredibles, Jack, if you watch The Incredibles, Jack fights off the big villain at the end and had all those powers. So if Jack can fight, and you like The Incredibles, John, right? Right, John? You like The Incredibles. Yes, I did. I love The Incredibles. Well, then, if you love The Incredibles, then you know that a baby can fight alongside Batman. No. One's a cartoon that is a family comedy that is meant for us to suspend all disbelief. One is a live action, supposed to be more gritty, realistic feeling thing. And just because baby Jack fights a supervillain in The Incredibles doesn't mean Batman is going to go and pick up a 6-month-old and say, let's fight crime. Let's fight crime. No, it's not going to happen. And it's the same thing with Hit Girl. 12-year-old running around killing mobsters. That works in the ridiculous world. Doesn't work in this world. So lots of great arguments to have for Robin. I just don't accept the Kick-Ass one as one of those things. Anyway, let's move on to another topic here. Let's start with this one. I should mention this quick. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description of this video. One of the things I noticed walking around San Diego last night was in front of the Hard Rock Hotel, right by the convention center. There's a big video screen, and they were playing this 30-second loop of Electro. And it's Jamie Foxx in this like big contraption as he spins his body around. You see all these cables and everything going on to him, and you hear his voice. I'm Electro. Kind of, it's almost like a Batman voice, but I'm Electro. And I gotta tell you, all it is a series of close-up shots of wires and piping and electricity flowing, and then for about 5 seconds we see Jamie Foxx as Electro. But I gotta tell you, I thought it looked badass, man. I've liked the images I've seen so far, and I love this video clip. So it's on YouTube. If I forget to put it in the description, and hopefully I'll remember to put it in the description here, just click on that link and you'll see the video I'm talking about. If not, just search Electro video in the last 24 hours, and you'll see the video, and I think it looks pretty badass. Next topic. As many of you know, one of my most beloved, pleasant surprise movies the last couple of years was the movie Chronicle. Now, I was really not looking forward to Chronicle. I've grown very tired of the found footage movie format, and Chronicle to me looked like just another lazy found footage movie, only this time trying to capitalize on the popularity of superheroes. And Josh Trank directed it, who is directing the new Fantastic Four reboot that's coming in 2015. And it was written by Max Landis. And I loved Chronicle. I've probably seen it about 5 or 6 times, and I'll watch it again. I love that movie. I thought it was such a great look. I mean, especially when you look at the Dane DeHaan character and how he goes from meek, overlooked, abused kid to how that twisted him and warped him into ultimately this grand supervillain. The movie's really a supervillain origin story in many ways. And of course, Dane DeHaan is now playing Harry Osborn in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And DeHaan is awesome. Anyway, love that movie. And, you know, Fox pretty much greenlit a Chronicle 2 pretty quickly. And Max Landis came back on to write the script for it. Josh Trank was never on board to direct it again because he's tied up with Fantastic Four. So Max Landis, I've been really looking forward to seeing his script. But then about 5 months ago, I think, it might have been 6 months ago, there was a report that came out that from Max Landis' dad that Landis is trying to really write the continuation of what happened in Chronicle, but that Fox just wanted a repeat of Chronicle, like new kids or people. I don't know if they were kids. Fox kind of wanted new kids developing powers for the first time. So basically kind of a repeat of Chronicle. And Max Landis wanted to do more of a continuation of what happens after the events of Chronicle. Obviously, the way Max wants it is the best way to go. Today I read that Max is off the project. Max Landis is no longer writing the script for Chronicle 2. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily that Fox has decided to scrap the idea of continuing the Chronicle story and are just going to go back to retelling the first one again, just with a different set of kids. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but that's my fear. My fear is that by not having Max Landis writing the script for the second Chronicle, that this is kind of Fox tipping their hat that they're going to be, or tipping their hand that they're going to just make another first Chronicle. Now there's going to be that thing buried underground and a new group of kids are going to find it and they're just going to repeat the formula again. I don't want them to do that. If there are any, and I know for a fact, some of you folks at Fox watch this for some reason. Don't do it. Don't do it. For heaven's sakes, don't do it. Please. You don't have to go and get Max back, but make Chronicle 2 a continuation. I want to see what happens after the events of Chronicle. Don't just repeat Chronicle 1, please. So, yeah, that part kind of concerns me a little bit. Before I get to some mailbag questions, one other issue I want to bring up here, because a couple of guys have emailed me about this today. There is a report going around that Warner Brothers is going to do a Batman Beyond movie. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. But John, I read it on this site and I read it on this site. It's not happening. Here's the thing. You read all these sites that are reporting on this, but when you see where they're getting their news from, they're all getting their news from the same one source. And it's a good source. There's a site called Batman on Film. That is just, specifically about Batman, this site. Now, they, and they alone, made a claim that Warner Brothers was investigating the possibility of doing a Batman Beyond movie. Now, this is what we call in my industry a downside-free scoop. Now, what do we mean by downside-free scoop? A downside-free scoop means you can report something, but report it in such a way that if it turns out it wasn't true at all, it doesn't look bad on you. Now, let's look at this scoop. One source, Batman on Film, not an official news site or anything like that, is saying that somebody at Warner Brothers is considering the possibility of doing Batman Beyond. Well, that's easy to come out and report because you'll never be held accountable for that report. Because you can always say, well, I mean, when it doesn't happen in a year and in 2 years, when there's still no movement on a Batman Beyond movie, you can always say, well, we never said it was happening. We just said somebody was considering it. Okay. And I don't, please, I have a lot of respect for that website, by the way, for Batman on Film. I don't want you to interpret what I'm saying as a knock on them. This is just something industry-wide. So look, and also I would be shocked if somebody at Warner Brothers wasn't at least in the discussions about Batman, said, okay, you got to put Batman Beyond on the table at least and say, okay, we should consider this because Batman Beyond is a property out there. For those of you who know nothing about Batman Beyond, here's the basic thing. It's not Batman. What it is a set, like, I can't remember if it's 30, 40, or 50 years in the future. And there's this teenage kid who basically becomes the new Batman, but a very futuristic Batman under the tutelage of this decrepit senior citizen, Bruce Wayne, who now kind of mentors him. It had a very short-lived cartoon series. It lasted like 2 seasons of a cartoon, and not a ton of people watched it. But it had a very loyal following. And it certainly had some upside to it. But don't believe for a second. Don't let anybody convince you that Warner Brothers is going to take this most valuable franchise they have, Batman, and scrap it. No, because first of all, you're going to piss everybody off if you try to do Batman Beyond. Wait, Batman that's not Bruce Wayne? What? No, they're not going to do that. They're just not. Warner Brothers will not. Now, maybe they'll do an animated Batman Beyond film. That's possible. Yep, they could do that. They can do a lot of different things. I don't believe for a second we're ever going to see a Batman Beyond movie. Not going to happen. Just not. And it's not just because nobody knows who Batman Beyond is. It's mostly because people have a certain expectation when it comes to Batman. And it ain't some teenage kid 30 years in the future. That's not what people want in their Batman. It's not Batman. Bruce Wayne is Batman. This thing everybody keeps talking about, this Batman Beyond, is not Batman. Now, please don't take me saying that Batman Beyond is not going to get made into a live action feature film. Don't take me saying that as some kind of knock on the TV series. I've only watched a few episodes myself, and I liked what I saw. It's good. And I know some people who are really into this kind of stuff that says the Batman Beyond series, the 2 seasons, was some really good stuff. And there's no reason not to believe that. But they're two different things. Just because a cartoon's as good as a cartoon doesn't mean you should turn it into a movie. And I just don't believe for a second that we're ever going to see a Batman Beyond movie. And that's just the reality. Some people say I'm pessimistic. It's not that I'm pessimistic. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. That why would Warner Brothers take their most valuable and beloved property and totally destroy it? By ripping out everything all the general movie-going audiences knows and loves about Batman and saying, oh, that's gone. But now this is Batman. And people are going to go, what? No, it's just not going to happen. I don't see it. And it would be a pretty damn stupid move on Warner Brothers' part. A really stupid move. So anyway, I'm going to do just a couple of mailbag questions here. And then we will, before I do anything else, I'm going to take a sip of water here because my throat's, like I said, I'm so tired, guys. It has been a long 48 hours. Anyway, so let me start with the first mailbag question. Come in from and before I do anything else, by the way, if you got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on AMC Movie Talk, send it on in. Email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. You'll see the email address at the bottom of the question screen. That'll be up in a second. And because we answer a couple questions every day on AMC Movie Talk, and we also answer a bunch more on AMC Mailbag, which are the shows that we do Saturdays and Sundays. So send on in your questions. Now, just be patient with us, though. We get about 1,000 questions a week, and we only have time in a week to get to about 30 to 35 questions. So please don't be discouraged or upset if we don't get to your question, or if one of your questions isn't one of the ones that gets passed on to me. We try our best. We try our best to get a balance between what are people asking about the most and what seems interesting. So hang in there with us. Anyway, first question I'm going to get to today comes from Francisco Hernandez, who writes, "Hey guys, love your show. Recently I read passage about Del Toro giving plots and spoilers to Pacific Rim 2. He said, of course, there will be a Gypsy Danger 2.0 and a Kaiju and Jaeger merging together. So what do you think? Will it be good or will it be a flop like other sequels?" Well, a lot of sequels do very, very well. First of all, Francisco, let me break my answer into 2 parts here. The first part is, do I think this sounds cool? And for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Pacific Rim, which if you haven't seen it, and by the box office numbers, the vast majority of you haven't seen it, but it's all kinds of awesome. Go see Pacific Rim. It is a damn fun time. Anyway, the question is, that Del Toro had mentioned Gypsy Danger 2.0. Gypsy Danger is, of course, Charlie Hunnam's Jaeger that he pilots, and there being a Gypsy Danger 2.0. That sounds cool. What really sounds cool in the question, though, is that they somehow developed technology to merge a Jaeger and a Kaiju in some kind of hybrid battle beast. That sounds awesome. That sounds so cool. But let's be clear. There won't be a Pacific Rim 2. There just won't. Pacific Rim, when all is said and done, is going to lose the studio probably in the neighborhood of $200 million. That's how much it's going to lose. Now, the movie was made for $190 production budget. And it's going to need to make about $400 million to break even. Maybe just under $400 million to break even. Now, some of you may be asking, and I've gone over this before, but it's worth repeating now and again. John, if it costs $190 million to make, why does it need to make $400 million to break even? Because the number, when you hear the production budget numbers given, that's just what it costs them to make the movie. All right. Now, on top of that, you have to add the marketing budget. In the case of Pacific Rim, you're probably looking around $40 million. So now your number is actually $230 million. Okay. Now, let's look at the box office totals. Let's say, for argument's sake, that Pacific Rim makes $300 million worldwide, which it's not going to, because right now it's only at like $102 million worldwide, and it's already almost in its second week, completion of its second week, so not a lot of hope there. But let's say, for argument's sake, Pacific Rim makes $300 million. The studio doesn't get that $300 million because right off the bat, about 1/3, around 33%, 30 to 33%, somewhere around there, of the box office totals goes to the actual movie theaters that show the tickets, that show the movies. You know, the movie theaters where actually people go to see only get to keep about 1/3 of the ticket price. But anyway, so now that $300 million is actually only $200 million. So the studio made the movie for 190, spent about 40 on marketing, so now that's 230 million. And even though it made 300 million at the box office, which it hasn't, but let's, for argument's sake, made 300 million, they only get 200 of that million back. So now you got a movie that cost them 230 million, they only got 200 million back. And then on top of that, you get back-end deals. A lot of times movie stars will sign up for, I'll do the movie for, $2 million plus 2% of the back end. Or the director will be, I'll do the movie for this amount of money plus 5% of the back end. Whatever, That's the type of deal that made Robert Downey Jr. $60 million or something for the Avengers. So now you got to pay that money on top of that. So now you've lost even more money. So that's why I say, even though it costs around 100 million or 200 million to make, that movie needs to make around 400 million to break even, maybe just shy of 400 million. And right now, it's not going to come anywhere near that at all, actually. So it's actually going to lose the studio a lot of money. So as awesome as awesome as Pacific Rim is simply not going to get a sequel, and it's really a shame. It's really too bad because the movie's so damn good. Anyway, next question comes to us from Jordan C., who writes, first, I would like to say, amazing show. Great job. Thank you so much, Jordan. My question is, I know it's been so long, but since the rumor of maybe Jim Carrey possibly revisiting his character for Dumb and Dumber 2, is it a possibility of him making a Truman Show sequel? I guess you could go in the direction of him adjusting to his fame from the show and living in the modern society. Could this happen, or would it just be a bad idea? Thanks a lot for the question, Jordan. First of all, it's not just a rumor. Jim Carrey is coming back to do Dumb and Dumber 2. They're actually shooting in September. I believe that's when they're going to start shooting the film. So Dumb and Dumber 2 is coming under Universal. Warner Brothers dropped it, but Universal picked it up. So we are going to see that, which I'm looking forward to. Regarding Truman Show, I'm going to take another sip of water here, guys. Regarding the Truman Show, I don't know that would be as good of an idea. Part of the idea of the Truman Show was this whole, the novelty, and novelty is not a bad thing. People think when you hear novelty that that's a bad thing. No, novelty is awesome as long as you don't overstretch it. The novelty and the brilliance of the Truman Show was this whole concept of the world watching this guy's real life when the real guy is unaware of it. But the novelty's now played out with Truman Show, and Truman Show finished that story, and it's done. So now a Truman Show 2 would really, there's nothing unique about Truman Show 2. Now it's just now a regular movie about a regular guy now in a regular world who's got a bit of a interesting history, granted. And I don't think the issue would be at all whether Jim Carrey would come back. The issue is I don't think the studio would want to make it. A Truman Show is a great film, but it was a great film in and of itself. I don't think there's anywhere to go with that story. So while I would certainly run out and see it if they did a Truman Show 2, if I was a studio executive, I wouldn't greenlight it. I just don't think there's a story requirement there. There's nowhere for the story to go. And I think it's just been too long before considering a sequel. Now, Dumb and Dumber 2, it's been a long time since that movie as well, obviously. But Dumb and Dumber 2 is kind of cult classic, beloved forever. And it's a comedy, and it's easier to follow those things up. Not so much with the Truman Show. At least that's my opinion. The important thing is, though, what do you guys think? Jump on down to the comment section of this video. Leave me your thoughts on anything or everything we've talked about today. Remember, you don't have to agree with me. I mean, there are way smarter people out there who agree with me about some things and disagree with me about some things. You should be no different, because a lot of you are much smarter than me too. So jump on down to the comment section and let's talk, let's dialogue. Tell me your thoughts about all these topics we discussed here today. That'll do it for today. Again, I am sorry that we're not in studio and it's just me doing this like a talk radio show, but that's all I've got the energy for, guys. Like I said, I was up so early, off to the convention center, did my panel, rushed back here to do the show. Now I got to go back to the convention center. I'm doing the best that I can, so hopefully you find this at least a little bit informative and a little bit entertaining. Hey, but while you're here, guys, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor. Can you click the thumbs up button if you like this video? That's just a great way of letting us know that you like what we're doing. And also, if you haven't done so yet, click on the subscribe button and become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our daily AMC Movie Talk show, our weekend AMC Mailbag show, and sometimes these little specials are just you and me bonding, talking about movies. All honesty, guys, thanks so much. And listen, if you're in San Diego, come to the Omni Hotel tonight. Omni Hotel, the bar on the first floor. Me and the AMC Movie News crew are all going to be there. We're having an AMC Movie News meet and greet. Come on down and meet me and John Schnepp, Amy Rose Eisenbach, Crystal Lee Kennedy, Clark Wolf, Dennis Zen, Gray Drake, Jimmy L. A bunch of all the movie talk people are going to be there. So come on down and say hi. Guys, thanks so much for tolerating me and putting up with me today. I've actually had a lot of fun just sitting here and talking movies. I'll be back again tomorrow to do the same thing. So until next time, my name is John Campea for AMC Movie News. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. And until then, bye-bye.